Okay, so we're getting close to finish it. All I have to do is finish or figure out what's happening on the sum. So that's not going to be a really hard thing to do because it's just basically a tube. So I just need to fill in the loops, make sure that I'm getting the correct deformation, sorry, the correct shape, and I will be happy. So here, one more to make the bending easier, one more there, and maybe do some smoothing. Okay, and maybe one more here in the middle just to give it a better shape, and just keep doing that. So I have those going up and then connected here. Oh, it's connected there. I don't want that. Okay. And like I mentioned before, I want this line to be going across the middle of the thumb so that all my fingers are having the same line going across them. So that way I will end up with probably easier UVs, if that makes sense. And here I have two going from the bottom. I have one on the top which is not equal, so I need one more here. That way I can connect them this way, and maybe one more smaller loop in the middle, and it's done over there. And for the top, it's gonna be similar things, and this part is gonna be where the fingernail is. So let me do some tweaking here, and then let me go grab the loops, extrude, and then scale them in. Extrude one more time, maybe go up a little bit. You know what, let me just go in one more time and then maybe drag it a little bit, and then we can fill it in using Quad Draw Tool. Oh, by the way, it's actually should be down there. I was blind when I'm doing it. So it's, again, it's really important that you position your vertices to the shape you want to do, right? If they're not there, then what's the point, right? So the position of those points or loops are really important when you're drawing those. Make sure that you are aware of where things are. One more loop here, and just make that go closer to the fingernail, and just finish it by filling in the shapes. So here I think I might have some trouble because I have two loops going from the top. I have one only going from the bottom, so I may need one more here. And then let me move that, and also move that because I need that loop. Okay. Alright, so cool. That's the fingernail. Okay, so that's gonna be the hand, and topology wise on the front, it is very bad to have topology like this though. So it's like a vertex has 1 2 3 4 5 and then 6 eventually connected to it. It's gonna be really hard even for shading, because that part, when you smooth preview it, you will end up with some weird shaping. But the good thing about it is that here it's not gonna make that much of a influence because it's on a flat plane. So when it's flat, it doesn't really means it's not really hard to actually make it work. Although I would like to actually do this instead. so that when I'm painting weighting, maybe it's easier. See, that's a little different, but you'll see that when you're painting weighting for this guy, it's easier because you will have that row, and that's it. But this setup, you have more rows to deal with, so you have one more row in the middle that doesn't really go all the way through, so the weighting here is actually harder to do. But what's fortunate here is that the hand never bends over here. That's just the, you know, the nature of the hand, right? You never bend over here, so probably you can get away with any topology you end up here anyways, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to change that though, so I'll just keep going and finish the wrist. And let's then do some poly count and see, you know, how many loops I end up with from the hand and how many I have on the arm. So let's take a look. Here I have 16 and I have 15 up here, so I just need one more loop to make the connection. Let me double check that, so I'm not having symmetry on, right? Okay, cool. So I have 15 here and I have 16 over here. I just need one more on my arm, or one lesser on the hand if that's possible too. You can do either. So I'm thinking of having one more loop because I really don't like this. So maybe I can have one more loop going from the hand, because it's actually not that hard to do. If I go insert edge loop, going across the arm, if I do this edge loop here, and that's gonna be that one extra loop I needed, right? It's not that hard to have one more loop as long as it goes across the model, the back of the model, and then I just need to even that out using quad draw 2. So just need to hold down shift and then even that out so that I'll have that loop over there so that I can push those closer. So I will not have a bigger gap over there. Actually, I wanted to push those closer. Maybe I can make that go here. Okay, and those are the same thing, just smooth those out so they're evenly distributed. I forgot to turn symmetry on, so I may need to mirror it, but yeah, I will do that anyways because I only have one hand over here. So after making the poly count the same, then we can start actually combining the hand with the arm right here, right? So because they are the same poly count, I can do a if I combine them together first, and then I can just do a bridge. Okay, then they should be also able to bridge together, and then I can use quad draw 2 to have some loops in the middle that the bending to support the bending. Now I do see some people wanted to have some topology to represent this one, the bump here. I would say I don't do that because it's really hard for the weighting to be perfect up there if you have that. Not really hard, but it's just gonna be really annoying. So if the bump is there anyways, right, if it's bumping out anyways, you don't really want it or need it to have a topology there to represent it, right? So that's the hand retopologized, and then we can mirror the body. And let me delete half of the body, just make sure that you go closer and make sure that you delete all the lines, and of course you want to make them reflattened to the middle. You can holding down R and go check on prevent negative scale, so when you scale it in, let's turn on that, scale it in, it will be, not on the component, let's use the object mode. So when you scale it in, it will be stopped when it becomes a flat circle. And then I can, with holding down X and drag it to the center of the grid, and that's when I can be sure that I can just mirror it. So the merge threshold should be something fairly small, 0.001 or so. Alright, now we have the body retopologized, everything. So the hand will take actually more time than others, and the tricky part will be, how do you connect, how do you do the fingers and gradually to the palm, and how do you connect it to the arm. Sometimes it needs some fine-tuning, or adding or deleting loops. And here I want it to be also straighter. So let me smooth this out. Maybe drag that. So I don't want it to be shifted, if that makes sense. So let me just manually drag some of the things. Having symmetry, right? Nope. Then I need to redo the remirror it again. That should be good enough. So let me do one more remirror, and then we can maybe connect the head, and we're done with the basic of the retopologizing of the body. Okay, so mirror it one more time. 0.1 seems to be good enough. Right, and then let's grab the head model, combine them together. And then let's go merge the vertices. I need to do that one by one because we actually have changed some of the locations of the vertices, so I need to do that carefully, one by one, to sew it back together. Every time when I'm doing this, I always remember that one time when I see some science YouTube video about people can, wait, do I have some problem here? Is that sewed together properly? Do I have one more loop, or it's just that one to that? Yeah, it's that one to that. So some article about people can transplant the head and the body will be the only one, the body will be all switched or all, from another person, which should be called a body transplant, but they call it head transplant, which is a very, very interesting thing if you think about it. What's going on here? I think I did something wrong, terribly wrong here. Maybe I'm thinking about too much other stuff. But yeah, let's merge them together. I'm sure I can fix it very easily. To merge them the same way. Yeah, that's the problem. So I was trying to merge all three of these together on the other side, which let's do that same thing. Let's do the same thing here, just to make it symmetrical more or less. That I do have a little triangle here, and I need to fix. So So I can fix that by deleting that loop, and it's fixed. Okay. Alright, so let me just maybe fine-tuning the position of those vertices. And we're done with the retopologizing. So this is going to be the full body retopologizing. The whole process will take you some time. If you're not familiar with some of the steps, or just you're not that experienced, maybe it will take you more time. But just remember that a lot of things here, you don't have to be exactly like me with one more or lesser loops. That's totally fine. Even some of the topologies are different. That's totally okay too, because every time when I'm doing it, I'm not trying to remember all the topology I did in the previous model, because oftentimes it's better, the topology is better for one of the models and not as good for the other one. I don't believe there is a universal topology that is best for everyone, because everyone has a different body shape. Okay, so that's gonna be it for this tutorial. But in the next one, we're gonna do some refining of the shape, because that some of the things like the eye and even the mouth, the inside of the mouth and the nose, those things we still need a lot of smaller tweaking. Okay, so see you next time.